Hello, hello. Hey, easy now. People are just getting here. You don't want to start it off like that. We barely got any fans as it is. Don't run them off.
Zan's going to think I was doing that intentionally to him, and the answer is no. I love you, Zan.
All right, everybody. This is Mike with Riding in the Ozarks, joined by Bagger Bader and my lovely bride, Firecracker on two wheels. And we're just kind of hanging out tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the new bike, answer any questions anybody may have. I know Steve kind of wanted to talk about it and stuff. So that's all that's on the topic tonight. We've got 8 people in here so far. So Zan wants to know, how are you liking the Street Glide, Mike? Well, um, I did a video at the 500 miles, what I liked and didn't like, and I don't. I mean, I think some people took it a little bit too negatively. I mean, yeah, I said the stock seat kind of sucks, and I think that's pretty typical. I don't think that's news to anybody. The stock windshield's not tall enough. That's not probably anything new that hasn't been said for the last 10 years. But anyway, I mean, those things aside, the bike is phenomenal for handling, suspension, power. I am working on a video for top speed, and we're going to have a conversation about that. But I have not scraped the floorboards yet, and I am taking 15-mile-an-hour turns at 40, 45, 50 mile an hour. I'm taking 35-mile turns at 70 mile an hour, and I still haven't scraped anything. That it just feels like it rock and rolls through it, like I'm just not pushing it hard enough. So, still trying to figure out where that edge is.
I've seen you ride, so it's just a matter of time before you figure it out. Crazy fucker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to outride my skill set. It's a new bike. I'm still getting the feel for it, but it just feels really nimble. It really likes to get down the corner now. Firecracker, what did you think of the new bike? You did go for a short ride on it.
Um, it definitely rides smoother than his other bike. And the seat, I mean, I thought it looked like it was wider in the back when than his other one, besides on his stock seat, but it was kind of a little rough on my butt just going. Not as rough as when I rode on the back seat of my bike. He's not even paying attention.
I was just going to ask, are we talking about the motorcycle or are we talking about Mike?
When we went to pick up his bike, our friends were going with us and they were riding, and he said I could drive the truck. We could take the truck, and then him and the guys, they could all go riding the bikes back. And I was like, no. He goes, well, are you going to ride on the back of your seat of your bike and me, drive us up there and then you can ride it back? I said, yeah. We had to stop how many times? 3 times on our way to Springfield, or twice, because my butt was killing me.
Yeah, she doesn't find the back of her seat as comfortable as the front of her seat.
Well, it's only this wide.
Just remember that when you want somebody to ride with you. Oh yeah, you don't.
Nope.
So Brian asked, I'm going to throw this up on the screen so everybody can see it. But Brian asked that several people are talking about the limited and the Road King special sales being down. How much do you think the anticipation of the new changes is impacting versus the low demand? Well, I don't know that I have seen a lot of Road King specials on the floor. And one of the videos I saw from someone who worked at a dealership, they indicated that they'd not had a lot of Road King specials. So it's hard to sell a bike that you're not stocking, that the dealerships aren't shipping out. I don't know. I think they knew that there would be some issues pushing the Road King special this year. If you go back and we've talked about this, but if you look at the price structure, a Road King special is like $1,000 less than a Street Glide. Now, Steve, would you buy a bike like the Road King special instead of a Street Glide to save $1,000 unless you just didn't like the Street Glide? I mean, if you were looking at features for money, 117, water cooling, ride modes, the infotainment center, new suspension, all LED lighting, all these things they brought to the new Street Glide. You know, wouldn't you probably just spend $1,000 more and get a Street Glide if it was just a matter of money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a testimonial to it. So I drive a 17 Road Glide, but the bike that I had prior to that was a Road King. So the big reason I switched from the Road King was to get those features. You know, I love music, so you know, a lot of my friends had either a Street Glide or a Road Glide. So, you know, I was always jealous that they're cranking up the tunes, and so yeah, the answer is pretty simple. For $1,000, and if you can work a deal with if you can kind of get them down a little bit off the MSRP, it's a no brainer in my book.
Well, and I think that's what I think Harley Davidson knew, that was the Road King Special wasn't going to sell well stacked up against those bikes this year. I don't know. I mean but that's one of the things. I don't think that the Road King Special is a bad bike in any way. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying if you go into the dealership and you got $25,000, you got $26,000, and you know, unless you just don't want the Street Glide or Road Glide because you don't like a fairing or something like that, you know, price wise for value, it's an easy sell up to the Street Glide or Road Glide.
Yeah.
So Robert says that he has put 1 1/4 floorboard extensions on his 24 Street Glide, and I've tried very hard and no scraping. So I mean, it really handles well. Brian says I have a Road King Special. You add a windshield, and that alone is about $400. Yeah, I mean, I think pricing hurt the Road King Special this year. I think if everybody doesn't know, and maybe I should do another video on updates for rumors, but I'm now hearing that next year's 2025 Street Glides and Road Glides are going to go up $2,000 from where they're at now. They're going to, take a price jump, probably back to where they would have been normally if Harley had not had such a good discount on them this year. I think the intent was kind of a fire sale this year, get these new bikes out in people's hands so they can talk to their friends about them, so their friends can see them, so their friends can find out about them and decide if it's something they want. But I think there's going to be a price correction kind of back to where levels were before. And I mean, it was unusual for them to reduce the price and give you more features. That's one reason I went ahead and bought a 2024 this year, is because I felt like there was a good chance that the pricing this year's once in a blue moon kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
hey Chase,
I got back into biking back in 2012, and in 13 I bought my first Harley. Last year was the first year, or this current model was the first time I've ever heard anybody actually talk about Harley Davidson's being a value in pricing. So I think anyone that's following the markets and the trends would all agree that we're probably going to see a decent jump in cost on the Street Glide and the Road Glide going forward.
Now, Firecracker, you've been in the dealerships with me when I've gone this year a lot. You go, you too, usually. Have you seen a lot of the big touring bikes with the trunks and stuff on the floors?
No.
So, again, is sales down because
I feel like I've seen a lot more than normal of them having them have some kind of custom paint to them than a trunk or anything like that.
Yeah, so dealers have been doing custom paint jobs on CVOs left over from last year. That Platinum didn't do real well, some of that kind of stuff. But I think, again, sales being down on the limiteds it's hard to judge if that's because of lack of demand from the buyers or lack of supply from the motor company. Can't sell a bike you don't have.
Yeah.
I hear from a lot of people online that dealers are overstocked and just flowing over with new bikes. I don't know if that's really the case everywhere. Maybe certain dealers have done better in this economy than others. I know Renegade doesn't look like it's overflowing with bikes when I'm in there. I think when we were in there in March, when we got back from Daytona, they had a lot more models on the floor than what I see when we go in there currently. Maybe there's more bikes in the back, maybe there's not. I don't know, but I know Lake of the Ozarks had record sales during Bike Fest. I know Pig Trail had really good sales during Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue this year. I know Sturgis had really good sales. I
Right.
know sales overall is down, but I think that's an economy problem and it's an industry wide problem.
Yeah, I certainly hope the Road King continues to sell and stays relevant, because I do think there's a market for it. I know a lot of the guys that I ride with would like to have like a secondary bike, so they're not putting so many miles on their tour bike, but they still want comfort, but they want more of a cruiser. And with the Road King not having a fairing, it kind of gives you that. Plus, you still have the saddlebags. Man, when I ride GG and I don't have saddlebags, man, I mean, you just don't realize how bad you wish you had them. But it is a great cruiser bike, if you just wanted to use it as a bar hopper. But do you want to spend $23,000 on it? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. Brian mentioned his local dealer had about 6 of each color. Out of curiosity, Brian, does that local dealer wheel and deal, or are they charging $2,000 over MSRP on everything, no matter what? So Brian said, and we'll get to Chase's question here in a minute, but Brian said, I asked one of the employees why they didn't put the tour packs on. They said they didn't want to add the parts and accessories. Um, Wheel and deal some. I mean, and maybe the demand is not as high there. Maybe there's more competition there. I talked recently, and a lot of people were surprised that dealerships here, like in Missouri, are commonly in the central part of the state, at least 100 miles apart. There's not, for me, I've got to go 80 miles one way, 110 miles another way, 105 miles a different way. There's not 6 dealerships within 30 minutes of me. Um, and so maybe that helps with sales because there's, not as many dealerships. So they're not having to compete as hard on selling the bikes, and maybe one's making a better deal than the other one. I don't really know. Um, I know, Brian, when I talked to Harley Davidson at Vegas, I asked the question why the limiteds did not get the new body style and some of that stuff versus the new bikes. And they pretty much told me that they look at the adoption rate, and they felt that a lot of the older customers who would buy a limited or a road glide limited, an ultra limited, would take a little longer to get used to the new body style to accept that and adopt that as being normal. So, you know, maybe it's also, if you guys didn't know, there was just an article came out this week. There is a new tour pack coming, according to a filing in the EU that Harley has done with the new design for a tour pack. So there is going to be a new revised style of tour pack coming. They think that's what's going to come next year. So that either means we're going to get limiteds with that new tour pack style on it, or that's just going to be a new parts and accessories option that will be for the street glide and road glide to make a limited out of them. Um, I still think that them doing it as a package, like their long haul package and things like that, and just adding lowers and tour pack and speakers and some of that makes just as much sense as having another model. But maybe there will be. Javon Brandon says, will there be a limited for 2025? And that's the question. I think there'll be a package. I think you can build a limited. I just don't know that the dealership is going to have, standards and specials and limiteds when they can just say, okay, here's this package for $4,000 you buy from the dealer, and they install it, and it's the same thing as a limited. And what that does is that actually gives the dealership an opportunity to make a little more money on customizing a bike. And what, to make that work though, they have to make sure that price isn't a lot drastically different than what it would have been if you'd ordered an Ultra or Limited from the factory. As long as you're paying about the same money either way, the difference, does it really matter if the dealer's doing it or the motor company's doing it?
I don't know about you, Mike, but I think most people are following the trend that I went with, where I bought the basic Road Glide, knowing that I have all the abilities to buy a much more cost-effective aftermarket tour pack and be able to attach it very easily with my docking stations. And then that way I can take it off or put it, take it on, or put it on and take it off. I just felt like it gave me a lot more flexibility. And don't you think is that the trend that you see most bikers using now, rather than going out and buying the fully dressed out Harley from the dealer?
I don't know. I think some people want that. I like the idea of being able to take the tour pack off. I don't need it wired up. I don't want speakers on it. The tour pack for me is for days when I need to haul something either for work or we're going on a trip and I need to haul 5-7 days worth of clothes. Otherwise, on a day-to-day basis, I don't use the tour pack. It's really for like those occasions. And I usually, right now I'm leaving it on the bike. Spoiler alert, I did get a chopped pack for the Street Glide. I haven't released a video on it yet. I'm still waiting on the lock kit for it and stuff, but I've been running it. But I'm going to build a rack for it, and I'm not going to run it all the time. I'm going to take it off and put it on a rack when I'm not using it.
April, do you have a rack?
Nope.
I think
I thought you had a rack.
She's got a rack, but she's hiding it under her shirt.
Oh, okay. Nice rack.
Let's see. On the 24 trillion miles, I've watched T videos talking about the interfering not being painted, comparing it to the 24 standard versus special. Do you think they may bring a special back for 25? I don't think maybe they will, but I don't think so. Harley Davidson is selling an inner fairing that's paint matched on the parts and accessories catalog now. I don't know if they always did that, but I know they're doing it for the 24. I've checked the P&A watching for new parts and accessories for the 24 models, and I know they have a color matched inner fairing. They have color matched tour packs, all these things. I haven't seen any signs of lowers yet. That's probably the biggest thing, is how they're going to do lowers if they stay with these chopped engine guards.
I forgot to ask you, Mike, does your bike have painted inner fairing?
No, it's a matte black. No, it's kind of a matte black, and it is something that I am considering how I would change it.
Would you use the fairing exchange?
I would probably use the factory match. I have a relationship with them. Josh and I, the owner, have done stuff in the past. I got my Clockworks fender from them, and so I like the guys at the Fairing Exchange. But factory match is factory painted. Here in the U.S., he did an awesome job on the fender I got from him, and he has an exchange program for some painted parts, and for some parts, like the inner fairing, he said if I take it off and send it to him this winter, he would paint it. I think for me, I priced it at factory match, and I think priced it at the Fairing Exchange, and I think factory match will be a better value for me. Look who's in the house, Mr. Lloyd Blake.
What's up, Lloyd?
And I, not saying anything against the guys at Fairing Exchange. They're great, but I only see them at rallies. Maybe if I wanted to take something off and ship it to them or order online, could do that, but I'd be doing the labor myself. The price they give at the rally is for them doing it. So the price I got from the factory match is me doing the labor. So it's less because I'm doing the labor. So Robert says lowers won't fit because of the wider radiator. I cut and welded full size crash bars to put on my bike. Lowers would have to be cut up a lot to fit. I saw at Daytona a 24 model with lowers on it and crash bars. And I'm not saying it doesn't take a lot of work, but people are doing it. There's also a guy selling a fabricated set or something I've seen online. They're not, it's not like it's taken off and I'm seeing them everywhere, or that he's a big production. They may be one offs, but I do know that it can be done. So it makes sense to me that sooner or later the motor company is going to do it, give some kind of parts and accessories or factory option for that.
Hmm.
And the lower fairings may be modified and they may look different than what we've currently seeing, but I think there will be some variation of that at some point going forward.
Mike's starting to get a pretty good echo going.
I don't have it.
You don't
That's
hear
the guy not. It's the guy not using headphones that's hearing it.
No shit.
Damn
headphones.
Chase wants to know if I got one of those pizza box size packs. I did a chopped pack instead of a razor pack, but it is a little bigger than the razor, but not as big as the King pack.
Got another echo. So Robert's saying he's hearing it.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing it, but I'm hearing it through it sounds like through your feedback.
Oh, you think it's me?
Well, if you want me to mute you, we can find out.
I don't hear an echo.
Do you guys still hear an echo now that I've muted Steve and nobody can hear anything from him? Is the echo gone? We're waiting. I'll make. Do you guys like it when Steve is muted? Do you want me to leave it that way? Robert says no echo. I hear a bit of one gone now. So Steve, it's you because you wouldn't get those goddamn headphones working. Now you're in timeout.
Hell.
I brought you back.
All right.
Oh, James says it's still there. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can get my mic a little closer and see if that'll help.
See if maybe I get this out of the way here. Sometimes
you said it's still there. Everybody else said I hear no echo.
How about now? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you. James Latoff said echo's still there at 722, but Zan said no echo. I'm gonna stick with it's Steve's fault.
Hey man, I'm a perfect candidate to throw me under the bus.
Oh, James says it's gone now. So
I moved my headphones over about 3 or 4 feet over, so hopefully, maybe somehow that was the culprit.
Maybe we'll see. Let's see here. So Javon, will Harley Davidson have new ideas for 2025? Well, I expect that in 2025 we're going to see some soft tails get the 117, and maybe with the water cooling like the touring bikes have. What some sites are calling center cooled. It's just the cooling in the heads. So I think we're going to see a model or two get that, and I think we're going to see them get ride modes, rider safety enhancement stuff. They're not going to get like crazy infotainment centers like the touring bikes have. They're not going to impeach on that, but I think they're going to see more and more bikes get safety modes, improved performance from water cooling or liquid cooling in the soft tail lineup.
How about more bikes with the new Revolution Max motor in it? You see that?
We need at least one more model, but we'll talk about that in just a second.
All right.
Somebody asked you if you heard anything about the colors for 25.
No. So what I have heard is that somebody said that they were doing color sheets, but I heard they were not doing color sheets, and that general managers and owners had to log into the HDNet service portal site to watch a video, to see a video of the colors, and that they could see the video of the colors and they could make their orders, but there is not a technical color sheet like there used to be that they can show customers with a sample of the colors on them. 5 years ago, I was busting out videos on the colors early and stuff like that. And Harley's doing everything they can to keep that stuff from happening now.
Bastards.
Somebody there has it out for me. So I think it's become a friendly competition. They're going to see what they can keep from me, and we're going to see what I can figure out.
My money's on you, Mike.
Well, they're doing a pretty good job this year keeping stuff under wraps. I mean, we're a couple of weeks from December. In a month, I expect to start seeing videos leak of bikes that are being delivered that are carryover models, and that'll be a big sign. If you see a bike being delivered in December, that means that bike's not getting an update. The bikes you don't see being delivered in December and holding out till January before they come are probably getting new revisions. Now, you asked about the Revolution Max motors.
Yeah.
So Robert said the Bronx. I did a video on that.
Right.
I think they need another model. I think the Pan America is one model. I think they need another model. The Bronx had some hype. People were interested in it. I said that we kind of killed the Bronx because everybody was like, not happy with the detuned 1250 and the Sportster S being 120 horse instead of 150 horse. Can you imagine if they came out with a 975 that was 110 horse when the Pan America's 150?
Yeah.
So I think they realized that people were going to demand that. So I think a Bronx Street Fighter version of the Pan America should be the next Revolution Max motor they make. Whether they will or won't, I don't know, but I think it should be. And I think they know that the Pan America is the hooligan bike that everybody wants. They just don't know it. And that's what the Hooligan Race Series is partially helping them define and, figure out the setups for. So
would you say there's a similarity between the Bronx and what we're seeing on the Hooligan series? I think they kind of have a similar look to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little different, but I think it's similar, and I think it could be crafted to look a little more like the Bronx, a little more street friendly, a little less race, but still have a lot of that set up.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, there's a space there that would be fun to. Hopefully, they'll look into that and get serious about trying to do something.
Talking about the colors here, the chat's talking about that, and I don't know what the colors are going to be. Nobody said anything to me other than the one thing that was said to me was, if you like this white onyx pearl, you better buy it now because it will not be offered next year. So they may be a different white. They've done pearl sand. They've done some other things, but I really like the white onyx. My wife really likes the white onyx. Do you see her smile when I talked about it? Just when I say white onyx pearl, she gets this little look in her eye. She kind of picked that color. She liked it better than the blue.
I'm going to be honest with you. The other day when I was driving your truck and we were trying out your new camera thing on the truck, most of the time, I mean, we've rode around white bikes before and all the bikes we ride around, but there was something about that white that caught my eye. I feel like there's something about that color that is more noticeable, like to a car. I don't know what it was, but I felt like it just would catch my eye every time.
Yes, I think it's that pearl.
A lot of other bikes.
If it's on a sunny day, that thing shines. That pearl will really pop in the sunlight.
I know a lot of women like pearl necklaces, so maybe there's a correlation there. I don't know. Could be.
I don't like necklaces.
Good evening, Patrick from Kansas City. We appreciate your support. 87 Ricers in the house. Yep, we're making some mods, making some progress. I've got 4 or 5 videos of mods that I haven't got finished filming and editing and stuff, but we're getting some things done on the bike. Desert Moon, thank you for joining the conversation here. I see online a following for the Nightster, but here in Florida, no one wants it but 20-somethings. I think Cruzy Originals is doing some stuff with the Nicer that's getting a little bit of attention, and I don't think it's a bad bike. There was a video somebody sent me, and I'm not going to say what channel because, to be honest, I don't think the guy. I think it was more of a wish list than a predictions. He just went through each model and said what he thinks they should do or wish they would do. Like they're going to he said they're going to revamp the ugly side of the Revolution motor this year, and they're going to fix that. And they're going to bring the Fat Bob back. And I think it's more like he went down the list and made a wish list of what he'd like. Not that he's got any evidence to back this up. He also said some things that I would definitely disagree with, so I'm not going to encourage anybody to go watch that video. He glossed over some things like the third quarter report saying, "Oh, this is just seasonal. Third quarter is always down." Yes, third quarter is always down compared to second quarter, but third quarter this year is down compared to third quarter last year. That matters. That's not just seasonal, and that's the kind of thing that really made me feel like the guy wasn't as credible. Somebody sent me the video, and so some of these rumors are simply a matter of people saying what they think or they wish or what they heard from a dealer, and some of them are legit. I mean, my discovery of the Road Glide 3 wheeler came from a member of the audience reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, I heard from a dealer this is going to happen. I really, really believe this." And we talked a little bit, and they convinced me that they weren't blowing smoke. They really believed it, whether it was true or not, and it turned out to be true. And I made a mock out of with Photoshop of that trike and everything else, and it was pretty spot on. So those things happen. I'm not trying to put anybody down. Everybody can put what they want on their channel, but I don't know that without any sources and just what you hear from the dealer and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff in the past that we've wanted or we've said Harley should do, and we were being overly optimistic. I tend to find that Harley grabs low-hanging fruit. Last year with the new Street Glide and Road Glide was really a big leap forward, and we see those kinds of leaps forwards every 5 to 10 years. I expect we're going to see small increments this year on other models, not some big drastic change 2 years in a row, just because not that I don't want it, because I think that's the reality of it, and we tend to over anticipate changes from them. I don't know how the Fat Bob does overseas. Robert said Fat Bob is still selling overseas. Yes, it is selling, but I don't know how it does. The Sport Glide is still selling overseas. And that's a bike they took away here 3 years ago. So, my wife loves hers, but she's learning to love the Lowrider ST also. She got to ride it some.
Did you see where no, I can't think of their freaking name. The dude that makes the turbos down in Arizona.
Trask.
Yes, Trask just did a build for Jesse James on a Lowrider ST, and I think it got 208 horsepower. That thing's going to scream.
Oh yeah, there's some big numbers starting to come out. I will bring up here, Mike Skidmore brought up that there are hundreds of fake AI channels that are putting out fake news that are so annoying. On that topic, I just want to tell you guys, if you see a thumbnail that says 2025 Street Glide Special and it's got the old body style, that's fake. That's AI. That's not a real channel. And you can tell from the thumbnails if you're paying attention. I saw one this week that was Street Glide Special with the old body style. I saw one that said Sportster S, and it was an old Sportster body style with the Evolution engine, not the Rev Max engine, like half revealed under a tarp. When you see those channels, you can click the 3 little dots and you can just say, "Do not show me this channel," or "Do not recommend this channel." That's the best thing you can do so that YouTube gets the message that nobody wants to see the content from these fake channels.
Yeah. Hey, am I right when I say that, if you're watching a video and they go to say like a person's name and their name, but they butcher it, that's got to be AI. I don't know if you've ever caught that or not. And then you can kind of tell it's all been done by a computer instead of a real person narrating.
So Josh Bender asked a good question. Do you think they'll start shipping street glides with taller handlebars? The dealers are saying the 24 road glides are selling 4-to-1 with the handlebars being a major factor. I don't doubt the road glides are selling 4-to-1. I've heard 3-to-1. 4-to-1 is probably the highest number I've ever heard now. But I was hearing 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 all summer. I think the handlebars can be a factor. I think they are better from the factory, but I don't know that Harley can change that. So I'm a fan of Matt Laylaw. Some people like him, some people don't. But regardless, he had Brad Richards on a video, and if you don't know who Brad Richards is, we got to meet him at Vegas. But he's the guy that designs the bikes. He's the chief designer, I should say.
Yeah.
So all the designs go through him, and he was talking about that. And there are some limitations regulatorily on how high they can make things and stuff like that. And they have to make it so that, like, if you have an accident, you don't get tangled up in the bars or things like that, or get hooked on them where you're trapped and can't get away. And I don't know, I was at that time, I think they even talked about in that video that they were limited what they could do with the bars for the street glide design because of some of those regulatory type things. The road glide's a different fairing, further away. Bars are taller, but maybe it's got to do with whether you're trapped or squeezed between the bars and the fairing or not. Maybe that makes some difference. I don't really know, but I know some of these things that we think the motor companies should change, and we don't understand why they're not. I've learned over time is because they can't always do those things as a manufacturer. As a manufacturer, they have to meet certain requirements that dealers don't have to. The minute it gets to the dealership, they can change the bars, they can do all these things because they're not under the same mandates for production that a manufacturer is.
That makes sense. With the street glide, you're going to have to come out and then up to avoid the fairing. And that's probably where they're having trouble with government regulations, where the road glide, just attaches to the triple tree and no big deal. I bet that's part of the difference.
Chase mentioned Clockworks finally got the R18 windshields back in stock, and I don't just know the news on HD because I think what he's referring to is I let him know that they were, that Clockworks had these for the R18, knowing he's an R18 guy. I have his video on my to-do watch list, but I haven't got to it yet. But he does an install video of that. If you guys don't know Chase, go check out Chasing Adventure. He's got a YouTube channel, Instagram, all that good stuff. He's riding a BMW R18, and he likes to put down miles. I mean, butt burners are kind of some of the things he likes to do. So if you're into, testing yourself with 1,000 miles in 24 hours or 1,500 miles in 24 hours, that kind of thing, he has some content you might enjoy.
And if you're a BMW guy, you'll probably like his channel.
Patrick asked about the Road King, sticking with only the special or possibly bringing back the CVO. I don't know. I mean, I've never owned a Road King. I've rode them. I like them better than a lot of other bikes. Definitely better than a Heritage or a Fat Boy myself from what I rode them, but they were all just demo rides. I've never owned one. JS is my source for Road King stuff, and I haven't heard any rumors that are of any substantial nature, not just, whatever somebody else says in a YouTube video with nothing to back it up. But I would like to see the regular Road King come back. I would like to see more CVO models. I would like to see more paint. We were talking about paint earlier, and if you think about it, and you go back and you look at like some of the paint jobs from 20 years ago, when they would do an anniversary edition, those things would have 2 or 3, colors and layers, and we'd have pinstriping with little HD logos in it that were super intricate and extravagant to purchase if you ever had to buy those, like a replacement tank and stuff. But the paint was at a different level, I think, 20 years ago. And I think like this red rock and gray that are just solid colors. I mean, you look at my white Onyx, there's not a pinstripe on it. Now, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, every bike had pinstripes. Good, bad, I don't know. It could be just a change in the times. I don't mind that it doesn't have a pinstripe, because if I want to change out to an aftermarket Advan Black or Hogworks or Factory Match, any of these companies that make factory painted parts, I don't have to have it pinstripe to match. Now, Factory Match will pinstripe fenders and things to match, just like the rest of the bike, but I don't have to worry about that if there's no factory pinstriping on it.
Yeah.
Can you do a comparison of the different windshields available from different manufacturers? Brian, I am actually already working on this. I have I've got a 7-inch windshield from one vendor. I talked to WindVest earlier this week, and they're going to send me, I think it's a 10.5. And I have a viewer on the channel who has an 8-inch Clockworks that he's replacing with a 10-inch. He's going to give me his 8-inch, and he's got a 10-inch Harley Davidson windshield. So I have 4 windshields coming besides the stock, at least to compare. I'm going to try and get a 10-inch Clockworks. I may have to buy it myself. I reached out to Long Ride Shields. They did not respond. I just basically told these companies that people are asking about the windshields, and I'd like to make a buyer's guide kind of video where I showed the different materials they're made of, what they look like, the rider's perspective at my height riding behind them, and that some information that would help you guys pick the right windshield without having to buy a $200 windshield to find out it's not the right height or the right style or something you don't like about it. So I am going to try and make a buyer's guide over that. Now, it may take me a couple months to get all that done. I got to get windshields from vendors, and unfortunately, buying new motorcycles isn't cheap. I can't just go out and spend $1,000 on windshields to, get 4 windshields either. But if other people have windshields that they've replaced already for a 2024 that they want to donate, we could talk about that, get them into that. And then what I talked about with WindVest is I'm going to give away their windshield as a giveaway when we're done. So they're going to pay to ship it to me, and I'm going to use it for video, and then we're going to give it away, and I'm going to pay to ship it to some winner. So I thought would be a cool way to give back to the community and help. So that is something I am planning to do. Hopefully nobody steals my idea and does it before me.
That is kind of an important question. April, do you prefer the 8-inch or the 10-inch? Do you have a preference? Nothing?
No.
You're good either way?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Will we see a Road Glide 3 with the new fairing? I don't know if we'll see the Road Glide 3 with the new fairing, as there's been some feedback that people want a trunk on the Road Glide 3. So maybe we'll get a more revised or another model that's more like the Tri-Glide, but with the Road Glide fairing, especially with the popularity with the new design and the handlebars. Maybe it may be another year, but Harley may adapt that. Hey, Salty, how are you, buddy? Glad to see you on here. For those of you who don't know, Salty's had some health issues.
Oh,
He's
shit.
back home and recovering and stuff, but keep him in your prayers and give him a shout out. He did a live the other day. I got to stop in and visit with him for a second. So we're glad to see you, Salty.
Yeah, I was going to mention to you, Mike, Cycle Fanatics earlier today put out a video where he talked about there was a recall on your bike, some kind of wire that I think goes to the regulator. There's a white.
Yeah, I did that video a month ago, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a little late. He's a little late to the party.
Hey, I should have known better. No one gets it out there quicker than you do.
Sometimes they do, but that recall I talked about, that recall was right a month and a half ago when I was looking at buying my bike. So, and it's literally a zip tie. That's what it is. That's the fix. And a lot of dealers don't have the fix in place. So call your dealer and see if they even have the kits in. Don't take your bike in to get it inspected if they don't have the kit in, because if you have the problem, they may have to ground your bike until they can get the part in to fix it. I would just fix it myself and then take it in when you're ready for them to inspect it. And if they don't have the problem, then they don't do anything. But if you have the problem, then they put a zip tie in place to secure the cable.
Wow.
Zan mentioned Memphis Shades earlier. They do not have any windshields for the 2024s on their website that I could see, so I did not reach out to them. I may reach out to them and see if they have any prototypes or anything coming. Um, I did, like I said, reach out to, I think, Long Rides and Windvest. I don't think Freedom Shields had anything yet, but I'm trying to get time to reach out to these guys and get whatever ones I can in there. Chase said I really like the Clockworks windshield, and I really just wanted a 10-inch screen, but it cleans up the air a lot. Yeah, I've been a big fan of Clockworks, and they'll definitely have their 8-inch and probably a 10-inch for them in the windshield video that I'm going to do. 87 asked if I have ridden that nice bike in the rain yet. No, I have not. I was the week we had rain. I was working or I was out of town, so there really wasn't an opportunity to ride it in the rain other than to ride it 10 minutes. And if I'm going to get out and ride it in the rain for a test, I want to get out and ride it for more than 10 minutes. I want to see how wet I really am after an hour, how it holds up. Um, I did ride it in a light rain in Florida. I mean, we did get some rain showers in Florida, and we were at Daytona Bike Week. Trying to get caught up here.
Mike, while you're getting caught up, what do you have, like, one favorite thing about this new bike, your new Street Glide, that's just, you're like, God damn, this is awesome? Because they did make a lot of changes.
The power and the handling are the thing I am most amazed with. I like the infotainment center, but the power and the handling, but that's kind of where I get my rocks off. I like to get down in the corner and accelerate out, and
Yeah.
really not all the time, but sometimes, and it really allows you to do that. Road Glide FD said, I never figured out why Harley trunk doesn't open back to front. I couldn't say. The echo is back when Mike talks. Echo is back. Huh. Well, maybe I'll try talking softer. Maybe that'll help with the echo thing. We'll see. Sometimes maybe I'm too close to the mic. Hello from Montana, Blackfoot native. Thank you for joining. Road Glide, I think it's so you can open it without the passenger getting off. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on the Road Glide tour pack. And the new design still opens the same way. There's motorcycle.com has some pictures of it if anybody wants to go see that article. Give motorcycle.com a shout out for being on all the little hidden things that get slipped to countries for approval and then sharing that with us all. Josh asked, did Renegade do the ceramic coating on your bike? I think, Josh, they do that on every bike, but it was already done on that bike. That bike, they'd had it in for a couple of weeks before I stopped in and started talking to them about the price. So they'd already done their normal setup stuff. Like Renegade puts the ceramic coat kind of material on there. They do, they on all their touring bikes, they put on the docking hardware with the magnetic caps. They just do that when the bike comes in, they set it up and eventually everybody wants them anyway. So, ride modes on the 24s are awesome. I'm telling you, the one thing that would make me consider a Road Glide ST was track and track plus modes. And, the Road Glide CVO ST with those modes were amazing. I don't find that sport mode's great, but I don't know that I want sport mode in the curvies. Sport mode's a little more aggressive, and what you have with an aggressive throttle is sometimes it can be jerky, and jerky is not as easily controlled. You want smooth and refined, and that track plus mode was just the most refined acceleration and handling that I've ever felt on a Harley Davidson. And so I'd love to have that. So Mike, tape some pieces of string in a few key spots in your videos at 70 mile an hour during your test and watch the differences between what the wind is doing and what it feels like. Well, we might do that, Salty. I also talked to someone else who had a great idea of having someone ride in front of me and set off a smoke bomb and see how the smoke goes around the bike. So have someone ride beside me filming from the side, and I'll have cameras on me filming point of view, but have like a vehicle in front with like my pickup truck, and have somebody set off a smoke bomb and let the smoke blow back across the bike as I ride through it and see how it kind of cuts through the smoke.
Feed me a bunch of chili and I could give you a stink bomb.
No stink bombs from you.
No? Shit. I'm just trying to help.
So Zan said he hasn't heard an echo, but he's listening on his phone. Salty confirms that the tour pack design was due to some early complaints about being able to open it up without having to force the passenger to get off. I run user mode with everything maxed out all the time except in the rain. Then I use road mode.
You know, I always thought, when I first heard about the modes, I thought, oh, this is a gimmick. And then when everybody's telling me that it really, really works, that's the one thing I think I wish I had on my bike that I don't have. Is there an aftermarket for that?
For road modes? For ride modes? No, that's part of the ECU. I mean, it would, I'm sure, require at least an ECU and some kind of switch or housing change. Chase says he kind of gets used to whatever mode he's in and he just stays there. He doesn't change his unless it's for highway miles per gallon. He's more of a distraction by changing the throttle response. I've been riding the first 700 miles in regular road mode. I didn't put it in sport mode till Sunday, actually. And we went out and we cranked some twisties. Firecracker didn't go. I rode with Steve and Nick, and I rode a little more aggressively than I do when she's with me. Just because, you know, she'll ride her own ride, but I don't want to run off and leave her either.
Yeah. That's because you care about her.
Mm-hmm.
A little love muffin.
Yeah. I think I'm going to get off here.
You just want to go hang out with your niece.
My great niece.
Yes. How old is she?
I want to go play with her.
How old is she?
She'll be 3 this month.
Ooh, yeah.
She lives over 100. Yeah, she lives over 100 miles away, so she's in town. So Firecracker wants to go hang out with the 3-year-old instead of listen to a bunch of dirty bikers tell dirty jokes.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
All right, honey, we love you.
All right. Yep. Bye, everybody.
Robert's got my back. Did you see that? Robert's got my back. See,
well,
see, honey.
I wondered how long it was going to take, right?
Well, the thing with the tree is we have a lot of stuff going to be coming up, and the other day I had the opportunity to put it up, so I put it up. I don't have the lights on it, so.
All
right. See everybody.
All right.
So Brian asked, how is the headlight at night? Do you think a projector LED would do better than a reflector LED? I think the LED I have on my 16 Street Glide for $90 on Amazon is probably brighter still than the brand new LED in the 2024.
Wow.
Maybe I could do some adjustment on it. It's not bad, but I mean, the one I have on my 2016 I thought was really, really good. It was the one I did as a demo. Somebody sent me and I tested. I was really surprised with it. I've ran it for 5 years and never felt the need to replace it because it works so well. I can't say that it's bad. I don't know that I would spend money to replace it, but I don't know that I would say it's great either. Let's put it this way. I mean, everybody says the Shark Demon is the shit to have, and they're putting them on some 2024 Street Glides. Some people are. I haven't watched all the videos on them because I don't want to go out and spend $400 or $500 on a headlight. So I don't know yet. I'm trying to. I mean, I even though I'm a content creator, I still you know, am financially irresponsible, and if this looks really cool, I'm going to spend money on it, and Christmas is coming, and I still want to sleep in my bed next to my wife. So I have to be careful about getting carried away with upgrades on the bike. We just got it. We've got upgrades to do. There'll be more upgrades, but I'm just like everybody else. I can't just go out and drop 10 grand on upgrades, especially when I didn't get rid of my old bike. Maybe after I get rid of the old bike, I'll have a little more money. Um, have you seen or looked up the throttle tuner upgrade yet? I'm not sure what you mean by the throttle tuner upgrade, but I was in a chat in a Facebook group with a guy that has like a wiring solution thing for the ECU, and he says it can change your rev limiter, your speed limiter, your fuel speed, delivery, all that stuff. So I'm doing a video on top speed on the bike, and I did some research, and there's like Harley limits like shutting the fuel flow down. They don't run it, just like turn it off. The bike doesn't just drop on its face when you hit the speed limiter. It just doesn't get enough fuel to go any faster. It just kind of brings it back where it's just steady and it just stays there. And the needle just bounces back and forth between 106 and 107. And by needle, I mean the digital gauge. But I am interested in what the ECU options are, and I'll talk about this in the video that I'm going to put out, but I don't know that I'm going to do them. I mean, this bike stock hits 106, 107, no problem. I don't, I've been between 115 and 120 on my 2016 Street Glide. Of course, that was in Mexico on a closed course, with all my protective gear on, if anybody asks. But, realistically, how often do I need to go over 107 mile an hour? And it's not very often. So I don't know that a speed limiter is a big deal to me, but this bike performs so well. I don't know that there's a reason to go above stage 2 unless you're going to do the whole ECU and speed limiter change. All you're doing is getting to the 107 mile an hour mark marginally faster. So if you really want to build a bike, then I think you got to go with the ECU and all that.
I think you got to go stage 2.
Well, and I'm going to look at stage 2, but I mean, it's again, Steve, you ought to go out and ride one of these. Just how fast do you need to get to 107 mile an hour? You watching my video, I'm in Mexico in the video. It took me a little while to edit, and it's still not very good, but you can't really tell in the video where I'm at and what the scenery is. I've kind of carved all that out and put a desert highway in the background. But let's put it this way: this bike will accelerate to 100, and it'll accelerate from 80 to 100 mile an hour up a hill and nothing flat. I mean, up a steep hill, doesn't phase it. It's got tons of power.
I don't know if you rode my bike enough to. I mean, do you think it's quicker than my bike?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I rode a buddy. He's got a 110 with a stage 5 tire shredder kit, and we're gonna probably put that on YouTube. But we're gonna go out when it's a nice dry day, and now that I've got the motor broken, and see how it does. And I'm definitely doing a stage 1, and as we may do like a race with dead stock, then do a race with stage 1 if we can get this in before the weather gets bad, or we get an opportunity, we can go do it. But at some point there'll be a video of my bike versus his bike, and he's got a 110 stage 5 tire shredder kit.
Well, I think
100 dyno did 120 horse and 120 foot-pounds of torque, so he should be able to take me, but we will see.
Well, I think at some point we'll probably have to run down to Mexico and see what happens. I've got 125 horse, 134 pounds of torque with my S&S 124 stage 3. So,
and it may just all be feel, but it feels fast.
Well, I mean, you just don't know until you go to Mexico and just see what happens.
It's pretty obvious in the video I'm in Mexico because there's a welcome to Mexico sign in the corner the whole time. I mean, I spent a couple hours just making, 30 seconds of video. So I hope you guys can really appreciate my trip to Mexico. I'm sure somebody's going to give me shit about it and say, why'd you even bother? And some of that. But
Because it's funny, God damn it.
well,
That's
and
why.
there is some history of content creators having gotten in trouble for stuff they posted, and it could be used against them in court.
Well,
And, and I just don't need the headaches. Um,
no.
so Brian said, "What are your thoughts on the tag light?" And I believe when he says tag light, you're talking about the light and the mounting bracket for the license plate, correct? My thoughts are, everybody says do the custom dynamics mounting kit and license plate light. Uh, I'm going to probably do something similar, but probably won't be custom dynamics. It's a future product coming from a company. We've already talked about it, and they asked if I would be interested in trying it out and running it and doing a demo, and it'll be a new product. And let's be honest, there's 20 videos of already guys converting the rear license plate to custom dynamics. So why not do something different and test a different product to give you guys an option, I don't know how the pricing is going to be. I don't know how it's going to compare, but we'll get this other product and we'll see.
You keep getting all these third-party manufacturers, motorcycle manufacturers sending you stuff, wanting your input and stuff, and yet here I am with my channel, and all I seem to get is like gay sex toy products. I don't get it.
You need more subscribers. So is that where we're supposed to plug your channel and tell everybody to go subscribe?
Oh,
What are you up to today?
I think I'm at 127. I went on a little roll. No, maybe 137. I'm kicking ass is what I'm doing. I'm almost up to Rogan numbers.
Well, it says you're live right now when I go search for you, and it says you have 137 subscribers.
Yeah.
And we're gonna throw
Yeah.
We're gonna throw your channel in the chat for everybody to go so they can comment on your videos and say mean, nasty things about you. But yeah, the big nose on the back end. Yeah, that's gonna go. It's just not gonna probably go with the custom dynamics one unless this product gets delayed and I decide I have to change it sooner. But an opportunity to test a different product I thought would be cool, and it would be a value to guys out there that are looking at this when there's 10 videos on the custom dynamics one already. If I do it, I feel like I'm just stepping on other videos to do a video on the same thing. So if I can find a different product and share that with you guys, maybe give you an alternative, I thought that'd be cool. East Coast and just did during Indian Larry block party, from what I heard, they also ticketed the guy filming from the truck. Yeah. So
those guys are fucking nuts.
It's going to get worse and worse, for content creators, where law enforcement's going to go after them for popping wheelies or doing this and that. And there are things you can do to fight it, and you can get a lawyer, and they have to prove that was really you. Unless they catch you doing it, it's harder to do. But let's be honest, do I want the local fuzz starting to watch for me everywhere I go? Because sooner or later, they are going to catch me doing something. So I just soon stay off the radar.
Yeah. I value my freedom. The older I get, the more I enjoy my freedom.
My freedom, my job. I mean, there's plenty of my friends and everybody I ride with knows I have the channel. A lot of local bikers know I have the channel, and they invite me to events because they hope I'll come do a video on it or things like that, or they'll at least mention their event on social media. And I try and do that because I want to promote the lifestyle and stuff. But, I don't necessarily want to be infamous in my local community. Yeah, the local Mexican fuzz. It was a quick trip to Mexico this weekend.
I was gonna say, son of a bitch, you must have sped down there.
All I can tell you is, it was not. It was filmed on a closed course in Mexico, and I was wearing a helmet. I was actually wearing a helmet and gloves and Kevlar armored riding gear and Kevlar pants and boots. So I had all my safety gear on.
Now, be honest.
And there was no traffic in sight anywhere when I did this.
Now, be honest. A lot of these people may or may not know there is a Mexico, Missouri.
There is a Mexico, Missouri.
So I'm guessing that's where you must have filmed it.
Sign says "Welcome to Mexico," and it looks like a desert road to me.
Well, then that may not be Mexico, Missouri then.
Thank you, 87. He said, I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the family time. Yeah, it looks like I'm going back to Renegade Saturday to do my 1K. I'm at 944 miles, so I can't ride the bike this week, or I'm going to be over 1,100 miles by the time I get there, unless I decide to haul it down there, which is not the plan. But I don't want to, I mean, if I put too many miles, if I ride it more this week, then I really probably should. I mean, ideally, they say between 900 and 1,000 is ideal to get your 1K done. They don't expect you to, not to come in at exactly 1,000. But
Right.
I probably shouldn't come in at 12 or 13 or 1,400.
Yeah,
trying to
ride the 16 Street Glide for a little bit.
Well, that's what I said. It's not like I don't have other bikes I can't ride.
Yeah.
Chase says, shit, I never intentionally get to my limiter. The only time I've done it is joining group rides with crazies. Who you calling crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, there's probably been a couple of scenarios where I might have legitimately hit a limiter of 107 miles an hour. There's been a few times we have some 2-lane roads around here where you can see for 2 or 3 miles and they have a passing zone. I mean, like it legitimately goes from 2-lane to 3-lane, and
Right.
they give you a passing lane to pass. And some of them are, over a mile long, but you may find yourself backed up behind 4 semis when you come to that passing lane. And when you do you, but when I pass semis, I pass semis. I don't hang around and get caught in their blind spot. I get the fuck around them.
Yes.
And it's nothing against them. I've got friends that drive trucks. I'm not, knocking on semi drivers, but they would just soon you not be in their blind spot either. So if I'm going to pass them, I'm going to pass them. And that means I'm going to put the pedal down and get around them. And there's probably been a few times like that where I've made passes at triple digits.
Yep.
And talking about limiters, just so everybody knows, I mean, I did some homework on it. The recent M8s were at around 114, according to documentation I've seen. Some of the new 2024s may be around the 111, some are around 107. People are reporting different things. There are different calibration maps that are used at different points, apparently, and they may cause a little variance in that top speed limiter from what I'm seeing or hearing supposedly reported online. If anybody says go buy an Indian, all I'm going to tell you is they're limited, like the Challenger, I think is limited at 110. And there's hacks to break that. I don't know what they are. I'm not an Indian guy, but it's not just Harley doing speed limiters. And I don't know what Chase's is. He can put it in the chat if he would like, but apparently the R18 has a limiter also. Yeah, mine bounces from 106 to 107. 112 on a CVO SG. That doesn't surprise me. I think the Road Glide CVO Road Glide ST is 117, and Chase says his is about 110, 112. So,
yeah.
And it's like I said, it's pretty rare. I don't know that I want to spend a bunch of money on an ECU to get past that, especially on a bike that I don't know that I'm going to keep past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I've kind of decided that, maybe I keep my 16 Street Glide forever if I can't get what I want out of it. And, at some point I'll go back to putting miles on it. I'll just ride it enough to keep it kind of in shape. And, this bike can be traded off in 3 years and I can get a new bike, or I can, go back. I'll have my Street Glide in between if I needed it, my 16 to ride in between bikes or something. But with putting 10,000 miles or more on a year, and I expect it's going to be more. When I got my 16, I was putting 12,000 miles a year on it first. Then I slowed down because I got custody of my kids. I don't have that problem now. This last year, I slowed down trying not to put miles on the bike because I knew I was going to get rid of it. But with the new bike, I don't really want to be in that situation. I mean, I hate the idea of not riding it because I don't want to put miles on it. So I think I've just kind of come to the conclusion that I'm going to put 40,000 miles on it, and then between 40 and 50,000, I'm going to look to trade, sell, upgrade, and move on. And if it's not paid off, then I'll trade it in and I'll get another one, and I'll just stay in the payment, and that's okay. And I don't have 7 bikes of my own. We don't want to talk about how many bikes are here right now, but I don't have 7 of my own.
Would April have any interest in riding your 16 Road Glide, say to Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, or would she want to?
She's mentioned it kind of in passing, but then whenever I talk about her actually going out and riding it, she doesn't want to. So that's another reason to maybe keep it. I mean, if I can't get what I want out of it, I'm not going to give it away when it might be something she would decide she would want to learn to ride on.
A lot of gals get intimidated when they see that bike, but I know
once they get moving, it's not bad.
Yeah, I know a number of gals that are smaller than her that ride them, and they.
So to answer 87's question, I have currently a 2024 Street Glide, a 2016 Street Glide, a 2000 FX DX Dyna, a 1998 1200 Sportster that will run, but I lost the key when we moved, so I'm gonna have to fix that. And it needed some work anyway. That was a project bike. And then I have a 94 Dyna that's in parts that needs to be rebuilt. That was wrecked over 20 years ago. That was my first Harley. And so that's 5 that I think technically I have right now currently. Firecracker has 1. So that's 6 that me and her own together. Then I have 2 bikes and a trike in the garage that belong to my dad, and a bike that belongs to my mom. So now we're at a total of 10 in the shop that are owned between me, my wife, and my parents. And my buddy Steve has his shovel head in my shop right now. So we have 11 in the shop. And I think he's going to leave his bikes with us while he goes home to Vermont. So we're going to have another 2 or 3 around there as well. So it's going to look like a damn car lot around here.
I think all the viewers are wanting to know what your address is, Mike.
Yeah, it's ammo is too expensive for warning shots. Yeah. So that's my address. My wife is 4'11" and rides an 18 Street Glide.
Yeah.
And just so if anybody is wondering, my house is my neighbors all keep an eye out. If you show up at my house and my car's not here, the neighbors will pull in the drive and ask you who you are and what are you doing here. And you better have a good answer because they're probably got their hand on something between the seat. My in-laws live up the road and they're retired. They keep a close eye on the place, and I have security cameras as well. So you better be quick.
What you're saying is the Second Amendment is alive and well.
Alive and well. I've got neighbors on all sides that are friends. I mean, the one neighbor is, her in-laws or my in-laws, April's family is literally less than a half mile away. The guy below me, I've known since I was 7 years old, and he's the closest thing I've ever had to an actual brother in my entire life. So I'm surrounded by good people. You all right, Steve?
That went down the wrong pipe. Woo!
That's what she said. Wrong hole.
Hey, as far as she knows, I ain't telling.
Robert says he only has 1. Salty's wife is 4'11", and she rides an 18 Street Glide. Yeah, I think April could do it. I'm not really interested in lowering the bike. I might put like the super low touring shocks on it or something if she needed a hair lower, but it's already got a custom seat that's been narrowed a little bit that makes it easier to get your feet underneath you. It's got the progressive super touring shocks that are got the travel of a 13-inch shock and a 12-inch shock, and I really wouldn't want to shorten the shocks up any more than that, and I'm not a fan of lowering kits.
Yeah. Well, she's not a lot shorter than you. What is she, 5'7", 5'6"?
Yeah, somewhere in there, 5'6".
Yeah. I mean, that's I feel like anytime a gal's over 5'4", she's kind of on that taller side.
Brian says you have more stock than Eagle Rider, and that may be true, Brian. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them don't run. So 6 of them don't run at all. I have 3 running bikes currently. The spring or the Sportster will run, but it's not street legal. It needs work. It can't be ran on the street just because it'll fire up and run and do a burnout in the garage doesn't make it. Um, you know what? I got to thinking about that. I did do a burnout in this shop with that Sportster when I got it here. So that damn key has to be here somewhere.
There you go.
I thought I lost it in the move, but I did do a little burnout in that shop the day we unloaded it, now that I think about it. So that means the key made it all the way here.
That sure sounds like it.
Chase says it takes a little while to get a touring bike dialed in exactly the way you want. Rather not trade those every few years. I understand what you're saying, Chase. I mean, I get it, but also understand that if you get over 50,000 miles on them, used market's a lot harder to sell because they see all these other bikes with 30,000 miles. And when you're at 70,000 miles, it makes a decision, for them, and they're buying and purchasing. So Chase says I may need to know your address to ship you Mid-America Freedom supplies ahead of time. We'll worry about that come spring. Somebody said air shocks. Chase said, I've never heard anything about but headaches about air shocks. Steve, what is your opinion of air shocks?
Well, both of my bikes have them. They're great when they work. Not so much fun when they don't. They do get clogged, and when they do, they suck because then they don't respond. And if they're down, it's basically like riding a hardtail.
Yep. Brian says, I know we talked about the Limited before, just food for thought. Do you think it may stay around and have the height adjustable suspension like the Pan America? I don't know if it'll have height adjustable suspension. What I would like for it to have is preload adjustment electronically. So the only thing I can really say that I like about the Indian Pursuit better than Harley Davidson is they had electronic adjustable preload suspension from Fox. And that means you go into the display and you tell it I'm 200 pounds and she's 110, even if she's 150, because you don't want her to look over your shoulder and smacking you for putting something in the screen that upsets her. But you put in the weight of the rider, the passenger, any luggage, and it electronically adjusts the preload for that. That I think is cool. That is a feature I would like to see on more models, assuming it works like it should. And as far as I know, it does.
That's cool.
Josh, want to know if I've heard anything about changes or updates to Skyline OS in 2025. I don't know of any. I mean, the only complaint I have about Skyline OS besides the amp problem, and that's an amp problem, not an OS problem, is the fact that volume controls are on the right side instead of the left side. I mean, the left side toggle, from what I really need to sit down and work with it more, but from what I feel like is if you're in CarPlay mode, that left-hand joystick will move you around in CarPlay to features and stuff like that. But if you're not in CarPlay, you have to have some menu thing up or something else for it to do anything. I really just feel like it would have been so much better if the left-hand joystick was audio and seek like it is on the right-hand side by default. And if you want to be anything else, you have to trigger a button to put it into that other mode, and then you can do navigation in the menu or something else by pressing a button first. But otherwise, it reverts to audio volume and audio fast forward reverse. That's what I think should happen with it. And I think that could be a software update, but that's I'm getting used to it, but I find that I practically, have to lift my finger up to get over there for the music controls. And when that's your throttle hand, if you're not on cruise control, I find it to be um, annoying at the least. Other than that, I can't say I've heard anything about Skyline OS. I did hear, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that there's a hack to get Android Auto on them using some kind of third party dongle thing. I don't know. I haven't seen that. I think, for Android Auto, Android users, that would be awesome. I'm not an Android guy, but I'm not, you know, I think it's equal opportunity for, you know, each platform. For those that don't know, because I still see some confusion about this online, the Android Auto not being supported is not Harley's thing. That is Google's thing. And yes, there are a few models that still have it on other manufacturers, but I hear when those contracts run out, they won't have them in the future. Google is the one that has made this decision to not support Android Auto on two-wheel vehicles, not Harley Davidson.
Hmm.
87 says that'll be an option they'll put on the 2026 now. I don't know, but I'm sure they know my feelings on the matter already. I haven't talked to them about it. Uh, Maybe there's a good reason for it. Maybe they'll share that with me someday. Maybe they won't. Robert just said, I did the Android, but it's not worth the hassles. So he
Hmm.
uses the Harley embedded nav. And I don't, from what I experienced in Vegas, I don't think the embedded nav is bad. In some ways, I kind of like the fact that you can bring the embedded nav up between the gauges when you're running the non CarPlay mode. Um, I kind of like that. I'd like to have that option, but it's, $350 or $375 one time purchase, and you get real time traffic and weather for 2 or 3 years. And then after that, you have to purchase it again if you want the real time features, but the nav stays enabled. So I kind of like the embedded nav. I've even considered spending the money myself, even though I have CarPlay, just because there are times that I don't want it tied to CarPlay. What some people don't maybe realize is when you're running in CarPlay, it is connecting to your phone and it is draining juice off your phone's battery. So you either have to have your phone plugged in to keep it charged, or it is going to cause your phone to use more battery power when you're running CarPlay mode. So there's times like when I'm knowing where I'm going that I don't need CarPlay. I just need music. I could do that off a USB, a flash drive, other things, or I can listen to the radio for a 10-minute drive. But, um, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't enabled the nav yet. I'm on the fence about if I'm going to be honest. Right? I don't know yet. There's times I'd like to have it, but right now there's other things I'd rather spend the $350 or $75 on, like slip-ons, like Clockwork's windshield, like the rear license plate mount, and things like that. So it's just not a big enough priority at this time for me to spend the money on.
Hookers and cocaine kind of come to mind.
Now, that's not wasting money, Steve. That's an investment.
That's why I look at it.
Can't take it to your grave. You might as well make memories.
That's right. I have a reputation to withhold.
Whiskey, fast women, and horses. And the rest I threw away. BMW's nav is hot garbage. I just used my phone, tried a Garmin, but it covered my gauges and such. There are, I guess, does BMW, do they support CarPlay? Come on, Chase. What's up with that? Do you got CarPlay as an option or not? I just want to know if we got something you don't. There are aftermarket CarPlay systems you can buy that are like a 5 or 7 inch screen. Would be kind of like a Garmin, except it would be more functional. It would be full-fledged CarPlay, so you could have different nav apps like Waze or things like that. Your slew of videos on this bike are still yet to come. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of videos. Harley Nav is powered by TomTom. And, for people that are not familiar, TomTom's a pay-for deal. Like, usually you get, like with these TomTom or Garmin's, you get maybe a year of updates. And then after that, you could have a subscription to get updates for mapping and things like that. That could be part of why Harley's charging for it, is because they've outsourced it and there has some license fee that they have to recoup. So Chase does not get CarPlay. So BMW hates Apple. That's what you're saying? Apple sucks. Each to his own. I think Android sucks. I would rather have a flip phone than an Android phone. And I had one early on in my career. I was forced to use one 12 years ago or whatever it was. And my wife had an Android phone when we got together, and I told her it was no amount of sex would cause me to give her tech support on an Android phone. I would rather, it's a light load. I'd rather do it by hand. I'm not an Android fan based off some previous experiences. I just want a phone that works. And Apple CarPlay gets everything I need done. Apple gets everything I need done. I don't want to hack a phone. I don't want to work on a phone. I just want it to work. And that's what I find works for me. Robert apparently doesn't like Apple because he says it sucks, and he says it still sucks. I use Waze daily, Gmaps for planning, Rever for out-of-service rides. Not convenient, but it is what it is. Chase is on the dark side with me with iPhones. That's okay. I like Apple Music too. My kids love it because I pay for Apple Music, and they all are on the family subscription, so they don't have to pay for music. That's one reason Firecracker switched from Android to Apple when we got married. Is she's like, "Can I get on your Apple Music plan?" Like, okay, you get an Apple phone. So, Steve, you've been awful quiet. You're not going to wage in on the Apple versus Android war?
Well, it's real simple for me. I'm infamously known as the computer guy at my office. One time we had a tech guy in, and he was going through the things, and I said, "I just want to know what the buttons do, man." So the simple answer is I'm an Apple guy because I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box. I'll sell you something, but I'm not the sharpest pencil in the box on computer shit. As you know, because you've had to help me a lot.
Amazon Music Premium, they just added free Audible to it today. Yeah, I'm an Amazon Prime user. I think I've had some access to Amazon Music, but not premium in the past. I already had Audible, so could I probably get away from doing 2 into 1? Maybe. Doubt it'd save me any money though. All right, Brian. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed everything.
Yeah.
Thanks for the questions and the comments.
Yeah, cool, Brian.
Has anybody got any other questions about the 2024 models? I mean, that is what we're supposed to be talking about instead of Apple versus Android. And it is relative to the infotainment center.
True.
But I don't know. Chase, is Apple Music, Amazon Music, do they have a CarPlay app for that? That's like, I can do. Yeah. So he says he gets Amazon Premium for $10 a month if you have Prime. Well, I already have Prime. I think Apple Music's costing me $16, but I can share Apple Music with 4 or 5 people. So I don't know if you can share Amazon Premium with additional family members. Have you gotten any more recalls for Harley on the wiring? No. My bike was, of course, brand new, so it did not have the problem. When I do the 1K, I'm sure they'll check it. So if it has the problem, then I'll put a zip tie on it, or they will. Somebody will. for rumors, I will throw something else out there. So there was somebody who did a video that there's supposed to be new suspension in 2025. For those of you that have not seen, Brembo, the brake company, bought Olin's. And, if you go out on Harley Davidson's parts and accessories page and look for suspension for the 2024, they have nothing. There is no suspension upgrades from Harley Davidson for the 2024 models. The comment that was made to me when I asked about suspension was there was not going to be something new related to suspension from the factory, meaning in the OEM configuration. So I expect what we're going to see is more parts and accessories options for suspension for the 2024 models. Probably in Harley's mind, it's a big deal if they come out with Olin's for the 2024s. And Olin's did an announcement at EICMA about having some new suspension products for the 2024 Harley Davidsons. So I expect we'll see a Harley Davidson Screaming Eagle branded version of that, at launch or something like that. I think that's what will be the suspension upgrades.
Well, Cowboy made it.
Chasing Adventure says, I don't know about CarPlay and Amazon. BMW hates Apple, and we have a Toyota four-wheel family, which is behind them on any kind of play. Lone Cowboy just got home. Well, welcome. Firecracker was here, but she slipped away. I think she might have just got back, but I bet we're not going to get her back on the show. Any other things anybody wants to know? I mean, I will say the 7-inch windshield I got to test from TCMT, I think does make a difference. Just even a 7-inch, it's actually not as long if you were to hold them together as the factory windshield, but it has a little bit of flare there. Yeah. And it definitely, I think, makes a difference. Well, it looks like we got mail and goodies. Did I get goodies or just you?
I only got, me and Audrey got packages.
They got packages from Amazon and I didn't. I didn't get any goodies. Not unless there's a check in that mail. All right. Well, Steve, I think looks like the chat's kind of settled down. Not too many questions. I think we'll call the night. I've got some videos to do. So we do have a question. Do you think it's worth upgrading the clutch cable on the new bikes? Well, and I'm not sure what you mean by clutch cable upgrade. I mean, if you're talking about changing out the clutch cable from the self-adjusting one, like the Softails have, to something different, I can't really say, because I got new bars installed from the dealer when I got it. They changed out the clutch cable. So I don't have that self-adjusting clutch cable like what is on her Softail. She has one of those, and I believe that's what the new touring bikes have from the factory, but not what I have. I have an old style clutch cable that has a jam nut and adjuster and all that, so I can adjust my clutch like I could 20 years ago if I want. Yeah, getting rid of the plastic adjuster. So I don't know if it's worth it or not. Mine came with it because when they did the aftermarket cable for the handlebars, they did away with that plastic adjuster. I'm going to say I'm not a fan of the plastic adjuster. I rode April's the other day, and I feel like her clutch needs adjustment, and that plastic adjuster I think is supposed to be kind of self-adjusting. So I'm not, super excited about that. Mike Denny said, I recommend the Clockworks 10-inch flare. It works really good on his 24. That may be where I land. I'm testing a 7. I'm going to test one from Winvest. I've got an 8-inch Clockworks coming to test and a 10-inch Harley Davidson windshield to test that people are donating. I'm going to do like a buyer's guide, Mike, if you weren't in here earlier. But I definitely, if they had come out with colors for the 10-inch, I probably would have already ordered one. But I wanted the colored one, and they're not going to offer the colors on the 10-inch. So I got to decide if I'm going to live with an 8-inch in color or a 10-inch in smoke. So I think I'm going to demo the 8-inch that someone's giving me first before I pull the trigger and decide if I'm buying an 8-inch in color or if I really want a 10-inch.
I've seen the Clockworks, the red one for the new bikes. I've seen that on your white Onyx, and it looks badass.
I thought about purple.
You think purple?
I'm thinking purple.
Purple look good too.
Why do you think I bought these sunglasses?
There you go.
See, there's a little purple tint in the lenses there.
Oh yeah.
But my wife says they look dumb.
Well,
she says I look dumb in them. Somebody else said it's not the glasses that make me look dumb.
I don't think they look bad.
I just thought it was kind of funny. You know, with the white bike, I've had a couple of comments about the bike being too white, all white. So I thought about, like, you know, white sunglasses, white shirt, you know, then something and be like,
do a little white out.
Suck my white. Yeah.
Right on, brother.
So, yeah, so seen some people on YouTube that had the adjuster brake on some of the new road glides. I have not seen or heard that, but that is interesting to know. I will keep an eye out about that.
Take a scoop for your phone, bro.
As far as I know, they're all cable, no hydraulic clutch. We went away from hydraulic clutch a couple years ago, and I don't think any of the touring models currently have hydraulic clutch. Get a yellow windshield. It'll go with your Apple phone.
Yeah, you're taking some fucking heat, bro.
I don't know what yellow's got to do with an Apple phone, but okay. You know, I'm missing something there, but that's okay.
Be a Power Ranger.
I could. I'm not scared. I can be any goddamn thing I want. My mom said so when I was growing up.
That's right. She knows everything.
So I'd be the white Power Ranger. Well, I'd be white something. Somebody already accused me of exercising my white privilege on my white motorcycle. You know, like, yeah, that privilege of paying all these bills and taxes.
Yeah,
white privilege.
What a privilege.
Matching with the chrome hair. That's no doubt. I do have white hair. Matches my beard.
Yes. God damn it.
You know, and I don't know what everybody's got against Power Rangers. I mean, they're still Rangers. That's like being a Texas Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Not. Yeah, all right.
Say that to Chuck Norris. I dare you.
Did you hear about the time Chuck Norris was petting a tiger and it growled? Yeah, so he was petting this tiger and it growled, and the animal trainer said, "Get up and walk away slowly, right now." So the tiger did. Mike says, I get gay biker jokes on my white Harley. I don't get gay biker jokes, but that's okay. People can make whatever jokes they want. I don't really get too excited about it. I still know who I'm sleeping with at night, so I got nothing to be jelly about. And I'm definitely not insecure about my manhood. There's nothing anybody's going to say to me on the street that wasn't said to me in prison that's going to make me nervous about my manhood. Let me promise you. You do a little time behind bars, that shit gets, you know, you get thick skin. None of that shit gets to you because you don't go starting throwing fist over nothing.
I know this. I shared a wall at a hotel one time with you in St. Louis. I think you're all man based on the thumping that was going on the wall.
What is Steve's YouTube page? I'll subscribe. I think I still have that in my clipboard where I can just paste that in here.
Yeah, it's Bagger Bader. Bagger Bader.
Let's see if you got any subscribers yet tonight, Steve.
A lot of information there. It's you're going to learn a tremendous amount of something on there.
You're gonna hear a lot of shit. Make sure you got your rubber muck boots on. But it's entertaining shit, and that's the whole point.
Well, I'm trying to have some fun with it. It's just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, he's not, he's doing it for the love of it.
Yeah, and hopefully, like while you're taking a shit, gives you something to do, for a couple minutes.
Lone Cowboy wants to know how your paint's coming, Steve.
It's coming. We were gonna just do kind of a body paint change, and then there's an opportunity to maybe put it in a show. And when I mentioned that to the painter, we both agreed that maybe we need to step it up a notch. So he cleared off all the paint, and we're starting from scratch. So I'm pretty excited about what he's kind of talking about, and the direction.
And you're gonna go a little brighter than what you had before. It was a little.
It's gonna be a lot brighter. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. The base color was black, which I thought was gonna look great. But then the other colors that we used just didn't pop like I was hoping, and we're gonna fix that issue this time around. So I'm excited.
So Chasing Adventures only took 3 months to find something on his Go 3 that I told him about. But congratulations. Camera stuff, content creator stuff. The little Go 3 camera that I use to make reels and stuff like that, and sometimes record videos with when I'm being lazy and don't want to take a good camera. Chase has one of those. He uses it quite a bit. It's really a good camera.
If you're looking for that type of content, definitely don't go to my YouTube channel.
You use a phone for everything.
I use my phone. There's no editing. And whatever comes out, comes out. I don't fix it. That's part of the fun of it.
You're 100% natural.
It's just whatever fucking shows up. I've had guys talk about how I have sexual diseases, and it just whatever goes on, it goes on it.
So Lone Cowboy's here in Central Missouri, right?
He's outside of Kansas City.
Oh, is he outside Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know an airbrush artist up that area. I know one in my area.
I don't know an airbrush artist, unfortunately, Lone. But I can talk to the guy that's doing my work and see if he has somebody. And then we're buddies, so I can email that, or I can instant message that to you or something.
So Josh asked a question about how much louder did the new amp speakers make on your 24? Considerable. I mean, I thought stock audio really sucked. The problem is there are settings in the iPhone that I did not know need to be changed that make a big difference. Turning off sound check and crossfade and setting the equalizer to none, and then turning on the HD signature equalizer in the audio system makes a difference. I don't have a stock system to test that with. I've actually bought a large screen decibel meter this week for when I do videos with the exhaust, where I can do some measurements and maybe have a way of showing some real data on real changes, because on audio, on a video, it's hard to hear. You can't change loudness. It will equalize things. It doesn't come across in the video the same way as it does in real life. So the decibel meter will help me with audio videos, but I was thinking about, like for exhaust, but I was thinking about, I have a friend with a 24 Road Glide that's stock. So maybe if I can get his bike over here, we could do a decibel meter reading on his bike without the changes, then change the changes and see how much difference it makes. And then we could do the decibel meter reading on my bike and see just how much louder it is. I will say at 90 mile an hour, 100 mile an hour, I can hear the system much better now. A windshield does help as well, but I am actually, I was a little disappointed when I came home. I made those CarPlay changes, and that made a huge difference alone before I changed windshields. But for the money, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Robert mentioned Volunteer Audio in here, makes some awesome plug and play amps and speakers for the new bikes. I'd like to see how the Volunteer Audio low cost $1,000, $900 solution compares to this, because it's actually less amp than the Rockford Fosgate and less RMS on the speakers because the amp is smaller. So I'd like to hear how they really compare. I think the audio quality on the Rockford Fosgate Stage 2 speakers for the fairing is actually really good. I mean, I'm getting more bass than I think I got out of my other system. Not as much loudness, but more bass. So I'm pretty happy with them right now. Well, and Josh, if you can do the labor yourself, try and get that amp on sale. Now, the amp update does have to be dealer installed according to Harley Davidson. You want to be on version 15. If you buy an amp off the shelf, it's probably going to be like mine at an older version, because it was made before this last update came out, and it's going to need to be flashed. So when you talk to your dealer or you order that Rockford Fosgate, see if you can get them to agree to update and flash the amp once you get it installed and bring it by as part of the deal, because you will need to get that updated to the latest version. And according to Harley Davidson, it's a dealer only update. If there's a fix around that, I don't know what it is. But make sure it's in my video about the audio fix, how to check the version of the amp and stuff. So if you buy one, check it. And then if it's not version 115 or 150, whatever it is, take it in and get it flashed.
Can you hear it doing 80?
Oh, yeah. I can hear it very well at 80. I could hear it very well at 80 after making the CarPlay changes without changing the windshield. Changing the windshield just made that much more difference. But I was out riding Sunday with the new windshield, and, I have no problems hearing it at 80, 90 mile an hour. When I did my speed test, it's actually, I forgot to turn the stereo down. The camera was picking up the audio, and you could hear it. I mean, you're hearing a bunch of wind noise on a camera sticking out in the wind at 100 miles as well. But, I could hear the audio over the wind noise in the camera on the front of the helmet. No problem. In fact, I have to mute that part of the audio because there's commercial music in it, and I'll get a music strike if I don't. So now I'm going to have to go back and figure out how to lay some audio in there for the bike running to kind of make it not, seem awkward or unrealistic. So.
Looks like Josh agrees with you on your hand controls.
Yeah. Yeah, I bitched about primer gray being a base paint color, and Harley heard it, and I'm going to bitch about the right hand controls for the audio for a while. I'm sure they'll hear it. I don't know. I riding them for a few hours, not that big a deal. I mean, I guess, I lived with it. I didn't think it was that big a deal till, I started doing it every day. And now every time I'm on the interstate and I'm doing 75 or 80 and I want to adjust the volume for a different song, or I want to skip forward, I'm,
right,
aggravated by it.
Right.
I thought I would get used to it faster than this, but I have not. Chasing Adventures wanted a drone, but after getting the X4, I feel like it basically does everything. You're not going to get a drone that's going to catch you filming at more than 20 mile an hour anyway. And then you're going to need somebody else to operate it while you ride. And then Sarah's going to bitch about having to be your camera operator all the time while you're riding by, just so she can stand there and run a drone. And it's not going to end well. So just use the X4. Isn't primer gray a 70s thing? I would have thought so, but apparently, and everybody chime up in the chat. Did you see a lot of gray bikes this year on the floor? Did you see as many? Or did you see the other colors?
I haven't seen a lot of primer gray. Maybe they listen to you.
Or maybe people, are over it. Maybe it loses its specialness if it becomes the standard color and everybody's got one.
Yeah.
People that wanted the gunship gray and this and that gray, the gunmetal gray or whatever they were, battleship
Yeah.
gray, those were like special colors those years. And now that it's standard dull gray, it's the standard color, it doesn't seem to be as popular.
I like gunmetal gray.
Black, white, and blue are the colors I see on my locals floor. That's the colors I think look the best on the bike. I'm not a huge fan of red rock. The Whiskey Fire is not bad. I've not seen too many greens on the floor. I've seen the Whiskey Fire and the blues. I haven't seen as many whites, but I've seen them in videos and on the roads. I mean, there's a couple of other content creators that got white. Cruzy Originals got the white.
Yeah.
Zan says he's seen a lot of primer gray on the road. New 2024 primer grays. I don't know. I'm it's hard to say, and it's still early days. I guess we'll know in a couple of years when we look out across the parking lot in Sturgis and see if it's a sea of black and gray street glides now, or if it's still a sea of black street glides, or is it a sea of gray street glides? All right, guys, it's 9:00 and I need to make videos for you. So I think we're going to get off here. And thank everybody for joining into the stream tonight. I hope I answered your questions and you enjoyed the conversation. And we'll try and do it again in a couple weeks.
Sound like a winner.
All right, we're going to sign off here. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. We're not going to probably talk to you in a live again before then. So take care, but we will get back with you before Christmas. Promise.
Peace.